Hayley at Hayley Cabin Stitcher, and this is my channel about cross stitch and embroidery and my love of all things stitching. So thank you for joining me today. This is going to be my second floss tube, and it will be a recap of all of my December stitching and my December progress. First of all, I'm going to go through all my works in progress, and then we will look at a new start and a finish, and then we'll look at a designing challenge that I'm going to do for next year. I've also got a non-stitchy update. I have actually done some knitting. Now there's something I never thought I would say. First of all, I would like to say a huge thank you to everybody who has left a lovely comment on my first floss tube. I was so nervous. I made such a hash of the introduction. I was absolutely petrified, and you've all been so incredibly lovely. Yeah, just thank you to everybody. I felt like the new kid in the playground, like wandering around going, "Can I play with you?" Yeah, I felt like the new kid wanting to play with the big kids. And you were all very lovely and welcoming. I know there's lots of floss tubes out there, so the fact that you've taken the time to watch mine, I'm really grateful. Also, on a health and safety note, I've lit my new candle, so if I suddenly like go up in flames, like my Nordic band sampler goes up in flames on my hair, please tell me. I made such a hash of the introduction. I was so nervous that I don't think I even said my name on my first floss tube. I was just like, "Hi, I'm Hayley, let's get into stitching." And I just like cracked straight on with all my works in progress. So I'm Hayley at Hayley Cabin Stitcher. So I'm over on Instagram. I've been on Instagram for quite a long time as Stitching Cabin, and that's where I show my designs and the things like this that I design and chart and sell. But it's meant that I've lost my place to share my own personal stitching, just because I didn't want it to get confusing between what are my designs and what aren't my designs. I would hate for anybody to be looking at something that's under the name of Stitching Cabin and it's not a Stitching Cabin design. I don't want it to look like I'm passing off, anybody else's work or any other designer's work as mine, or if it would get confusing. Like if Sally at Caterpillar Cross Stitch was stitching a tiny modernist design. I mean, she can stitch what she wants, there'd be nothing wrong with that, but it might get confusing. You'd be like, is that Caterpillar Cross Stitch design or is that Tiny Modernist? And I didn't want that. Hence, I have started the new name for myself. So I don't want it to be confusing. My idea was that it would be more simple this way. So I'm Hayley Cabin Stitcher. That's me and all my different stitching. If you want to see my designs only, and more of the, I don't want to call it the business channel, because it's also like a real passion project, but that is probably more of like, let's just call it the business channel, is Stitching Cabin, and that's my designer name. So hopefully I've explained that, because I did not explain that in the first video. I look like a rabbit in headlights. I'd like to say two special thank yous to two Laurens, actually, both Laurens. One is the lovely Lauren over at Flossabilities, who we were messaging on Instagram, and then she kindly let me know that my comments were turned off for the first video. So that was, newbie error, like rookie mistake. I don't know how I disabled the comments, but I had, and nobody could comment. So I put my first floss tube up, and nobody commented, and I just thought people hated it. I was like, oh, like people must just hate it, and they're not commenting. And then the lovely Lauren reached out, and she's like, "Hayley, your comments are turned off, my love." And I was like, oh, that's what it is. So thank you, Lauren. And then the other Lauren is the lovely, lovely Lauren at Cross Stitch Bunny, and she has done something very, very similar, because on Instagram and her YouTube she is Cross Stitch Bunny, and her Etsy shop is Stitch Bunny. And so she was just confirming really that I've made the right decision having them slightly separated, but it's all me. Just so people who are only interested in stitching cabin don't get confused by other things I'm showing. The fact that she's done it and she makes it work. So that was brilliant. So the first whip I'm going to show you is the Aurora cabin. Now I am going to catch on fire, aren't I? Please don't catch on fire. The two projects that got the most love in the first Flosstube comments was this, my Aurora cabin, and also the Goldwork butterflies. So we'll look at both of those today. So I started this in December 2017 and it's stitched on 16 count grey Ada that came with the kit. And this is a Dimensions Gold. Absolutely love it. It's so nice. Please don't catch on fire. Shafty this way. So my goal for December was to work on the cabin and try and finish the main stitching in the cabin. I'm going to blow this out. I am going to set on fire in a minute, right? It's like aiming for my fluffy top, right? My goal was to finish the cabin on this bit. So, and that's what I did. I managed to work on this and get the roof filled in. I also worked a little bit on filling the windows in and a little bit on the snow. And the other thing I wanted to do was to work on this bit here, which I did. I didn't get it finished, unfortunately, but I did get some of it done. And also, I don't know that you'll be able to tell, but there were some stitches here that just needed filling in. So that is what we've done so far. And Hi from Texas commented that, because I was saying about the French knots, and they suggested that I could use white beads instead of French knots. And all I can say is, don't tempt me. I may still. I think I'm going to have to redo these French knots anyway. I'm not very happy with them, and I haven't even started any of the knots up here. I still can't decide if it's snow or if they're stars. What do you think? Are they snow or stars? And this has actually got another couple of days to go. I'm giving this a full week this month, and this is now at 78% complete. And I love working on this in the winter. It's, yeah, the best time to work on it, definitely. My second project is Castle View by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Alexandra Gavrilova. This is stitched on 25 count even weave, and I am pleased with the progress that I made with this one. So I originally started this in May 2020 on 18 count Ada, and then just recently I've decided to restart on 25 count, which means that I am now stitching these 2 pages again. And my goal for this month was to get it past 4%, because that's where I had got to previously on the 18th count. And I'm pleased to say I did. So I'm now at 4.5% complete. My original goal was to try and complete page 2, which is, I think it's here. Yeah, that must be page 2. It's a large format chart. And I didn't complete the page 2, but that's because I did quite a lot elsewhere. So I came down here and I started stitching on the castle. So you can see there I started stitching on that first turret. I think because I'd already stitched the first 2 pages and done like 10,000 stitches of DMC Blanc and 818 or 819 I think, I was kind of over stitching it again and I needed a change. So I stitched on the castle, and that really helped. So what I was doing was I was doing a thread in the castle and then a thread in the background, and that kept me really interested. And I got almost 5,000 stitches on this month, so I'm very pleased. I sound very pleased with myself as well, aren't I? Very pleased. Next up, I worked on my seasonal piece. So this is Winter Is by Doreen Jones, and I'm stitching it on 32 count opalescent even weave, and this is, I'm counting these 4 whips as one, so for every 3 months I rotate which season I'm working in. So I've just been working in autumn in November, and now I'm on to winter, and this is my progress. The others I am stitching on 32 count Antique White Belfast, but for the winter one I wanted some sparkle, so I'm stitching it on the opalescent, and I was really pleased with this, how much progress I got on this one. I started it on the 12th of December last year, so this is just 12 months old now, and my goal was to finish the robin motif, which I managed to do, and then also finish the central motif. I just wanted to finish all the main stitches in the centre motif because this is a beast to stitch on. It's a bit of a killer. But now that I've got it done, it means that I've just got the fun bits to do. And I also had time to then work on the back stitching for this as well, which I hadn't planned to do, but yeah, got that some of that back stitching, which makes this centre motif start to look more fun, because up until this point it's just been, you know, quite a boring kind of colour, but it's really coming to life now, so I do like that. I should have worked on this for 5 days, but I'd got so much accomplished, and I was ready to switch, so I just gave this 3 days and decided that I would give my extra 2 days to my Aurora cabin this week instead. So I did just over 1,000 stitches of full cross plus the back stitch. The back stitch here on these words is charted like 1/1, and it is fiddly. It looks amazing when it's done, it looks really delicate. It was a beast to stitch, that was a pain to stitch, but it looks really, really good. And I do think Doreen Jones is the queen of backstitch. Her backstitching just makes her designs. This was at just over 30%, and it's now at 50% complete. It doesn't look 50% complete when you look at the finished piece, but because there's so much stitching in the centre, it is. Right, next up is the Royal School of Needlework, the Goldwork Butterfly. This is an online self-paced course that the Royal School of Needlework offer, and I had quite a lot of questions about it and a lot of interest in it. So you sign up on the website. They are not an inexpensive option by any means, but it means that you can learn a technique to the RSN standard with an RSN tutor, but you don't have to travel. You don't have to travel to Hampton Court. You can do it entirely online, and I will say the tuition is really, really good. I've never done anything like this before, and I can just about manage it. It's my own fault because instead of doing a beginner Goldwork course, I've done, I think it's the next steps, so it's like the intermediate course, because I love to throw myself in at the deep end. And this is where I've got to. I mean, just look at that sparkle, guys. There is something so lovely about working with the metallic threads. I love sparkle anyway, like chronic or like the opalescent fabrics, and this is just, it really is something else. So with this one, there are 13 stages, so they give you all of the written instructions, but also they give you video tutorials, which is what I rely on the most. And so it came with all of the kit, everything that you'd need, because again, having never done Goldwork, it's really intimidating for me to know all of the different threads and what you need. So it was good it came with the kit. And so I was working on stage 9, which are these flower petals, and this is silk shading. slightly dodgy silk shading. It looks okay from a distance. I'm hoping to improve on my technique because I've never done silk shading either. So part 9 for the flower petals, it was one of the longest videos. So the video tutorial itself was about 30 minutes long just for these flower petals. And I didn't have a lot of time the days I was going to be stitching on this, on the evenings. I need quite good light, and so my goal was to complete the petals on both sides, the flower petals, and obviously I haven't managed to do both sides. I got the one side complete, and then on this side you can see I've done the split stitch outline, so that is ready to go. So hopefully this next month I'll be able to complete this, but it's coming along slowly but surely. I've got it on stretcher bars. It's the messy bag. I've got all those plunged threads, and I've got the push pins to hold it. The next thing I stitched was Pembroke Coast. This is the photo I'm working off. This is a photo I took down in Pembrokeshire. I'm trying to stitch it. This is really tatty because I'm like folding it up, and this is where we've got to. So this is stitched on 200 count cotton. It's just a plain cotton. You need the really high counts for something like this that's got really heavy embroidery on it. And I'm just kind of trying to match the colours as I go. I started this in March of this year, and my goal for December was to try and work on this foreground with all of the grasses and the flowers, and I'm happy to say that I did, and I think I've completed the foreground now, which is more than I thought. The only thing I'm not happy about is here. I think this is supposed to be the yellow gorse from the picture, and I almost wonder if it's a little bit light, so I need to maybe put a bit of green in it. Yeah, and this is my very messy, oh, that's my other photo. So this is my other photo where I lightened the colours. I lightened the picture because I wanted more of a bright ocean. So I'm getting there. It's yeah, I'm getting there. I'll be glad when it's done, if I'm honest, because there's loads of things I really want to start, and it's quite slow going in that I find it quite difficult with the colours, trying to get it all matched, and I'm always thinking about every single stitch. It's not like a cross stitch where you can just cross stitch away happily. I'm like, where shall I place the stitches? But I do think it looks really cool, and we're getting there. I might need a little bit more of the purple flowers, just a bit of shading perhaps there, but anyway. It will be a lovely memento of our holiday down there once it is completed. And then my final whip for the month of December was a new start in November. This is Castle Wolves, charted by Heaven and Earth Design, artwork by Jan Patrick Krasny. And I started on the 20th of November, and so far we're still working on page 1. So my goal for December was to finish page 1. Unfortunately, it was just a matter of time. I didn't get as much time to stitch on this as I would have liked, and it's quite confetti heavy, so I didn't finish the page, but hopefully I can do next month. This is stitch 25 count tent stitch 2/1. And I'm loving the colours, and these are like the icicles that come down, and then here there is a tree branch that's going to be appearing anytime now. And the 25 count tent is good because it does go quite quickly. And I'll just show you how I arrange my threads. So for the Heaven and Earth designs, I make these little cards. I just printed them off with the thread numbers, and then hole punched them and laminated them. Because I use Pattern Keeper, I don't need the symbols on it, I just need the numbers, and so all 90 colours fit on 2 floss cards like this, which is really handy. So they're a bit tangled mess, but that does work really well. And then I take these colours from my master set of DMC. I've got those on the Annie's Keepers in a IKEA box. They fit those perfectly, and as and when I need more colours, I just put the extra threads on. So that's all my whips. Now let's talk about finishes. In December I fully finished this. This is Love and Roses kit. It was from the March 2018 Cross Stitcher magazine, and so I had done the stitching in November, and then this month I managed to finish it, and so I'll insert a clip of what it looked like finished. I made it into a little card, and I just did like a little bow on the top and made it to look like a little present, and then I used some of the leftover threads just on the bottom and just stuck them on. I'm not sure if I'm regretting my choice of using the sparkles. I think that's a bit too much, but all in all, I'm quite pleased with how it looks like a little present. So that's going to be given as a gift. It's on its way to Australia for a family member, so I hope they like it. Somebody also told me that the blue ink on the fabric is washable. It's water erasable. I don't know why I didn't twig that. I would never have even twigged that, but apparently it was washable. So if I'd have just washed the piece before I'd made it up into a card, then it would have washed out. So thank you very much for letting me know that. I'll know for next time if ever I do one of these again. And while we're on finishes, I just wanted to show you this. It's one of the free kits that came with the Cross Stitcher. It came with this Cross Stitcher magazine, the July 2022 issue, and it was the free gift. It came to hang as a banner. I didn't do the point. I left it, I don't know, I couldn't do that very well, so I left it rectangular, and I gave it to my bestie who has just had a baby for her to put in her nursery. So she really loved that. Obviously I haven't got it here to show because it's been given as a gift. And I have had one new start this month. It's a little design called You Are My Sunshine. It's one of my designs, Stitching Cabin designs, and this is my progress so far. I've stitched it on 32 count light blue Murano, and it's just a really little cheerful design, the sort that you can maybe put onto a card or give as a little gift. And all of this month when I was at my in-laws. It's just a cute fun design, and then it's going to have the word sunshine down at the bottom. So hopefully, I mean, I'm not in a rush to do this, but hopefully next month maybe I can just finish the sun and then perhaps do the sunshine. And I'm just stitching this, so I've got a model stitched to show people. And I'm hoping to hang this here in my office because I think that would be quite nice. Right, now on to my designs, even though we've already touched on it with You Are My Sunshine. So if you're not interested, that's absolutely fine. You can skip ahead a minute, and I don't blame you if you don't want to see. I don't want this channel to feel like advertising in any way. It's not what this channel is for. It's just to discuss my love of stitching and embroidery and designing, because one of my big passions is designing, and so it does all kind of mix in, but I don't want you to think that I'm trying to sell at you. But I just wanted to show you this. Is the Autumn Walks band sampler, and it's a stitch along that's running for 12 months, and in January 1st the 5th part will come out. So I just wanted to show you, because the other thing is that I have fully finished this month. So before it was just on the 32 count antique white Belfast, and I've laced it onto the mount board. Took quite a long time to do, It was fiddly, going up and down, like, yeah, bit of a crease there, a bubble there, but got it done. And so part 5 has been released. I can't show you anymore because it is a mystery stitch along. I don't want to spoil the surprise for anybody. But in January, then this little band will be released. I wanted to make January's band quite small because I thought that everybody is going to be hitting the new year with their New Year's goals and be busy, and so I thought it'd be nice just to have a really small little design. So we just got some toadstools and a little band of acorns, and then I think February's band's quite big. So now I'm going to talk designing and a couple of little designing challenges I decided to set myself for the new year. If you're not interested in this, then by all means skip ahead. I won't be offended, I completely understand. About 2 weeks ago, I suddenly had the idea that I wanted to do, I wanted to design a little simple chart for each month. And my idea is that I would design it through the month and stitch it and then release it as a free pattern. If anybody wanted to stitch it, then we could, and hopefully I can keep up with it. I'm not designing ahead. I will design each month as we get to it, or hopefully the month before, so I'll have it ready to go for you. So this is what I've designed for January. It's a cute little snowman. It's not available yet, so I need to get a groove on. Hopefully next week, like the first or second week in January, hopefully the first week in January, I will get this up on the website, and I need to check, but hopefully you'll be able to download it for free. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to download it for free on Etsy. I think they won't let me put things for free on there, so it will be on stitchingcabin.com. I'll put the website here. That'd be cool if I can put the website like on my hands, like here, like magic. La. If I can't edit that in and put the website there, then I'm just gonna look really weird, just like holding my hands like la la la. Let's hope I can. So if any of you would like to join me, that would be so much fun, and it won't cost you a penny, and you can use scraps from, hopefully from your stash. I wanted to design a chart that you could stitch in an evening. That was my original intention, but then I got a bit carried away and put like a big border around it. So if you wanted a smaller design, you could leave the border off. Completely free for this year, and then maybe in 2024 it might become a paid for charts. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stitch the January snowman on the 32 count light blue Murano, and I've just put some of my Annie's Keepers on the tag so that I can start stitching, and these are the colours he's charted in. But to be honest, you don't have to use the ones that are charted. You could literally use any orange for his nose, and any 3 blues, and any kind of Blanc white, B5200, whatever you've got in your stash. So hopefully this will be a month-long series, a monthly year-long series, and I'd love for you to join if you want to, and it is completely free. I like free things. Right, my next designing challenge, I hope I can keep up with this throughout the year, but every month the Cross Stitcher magazine have a designer challenge, and they get 3 really well-established cross-stitch designers, and they set them a challenge where they're only allowed to use certain threads, certain materials, and they have to design to a specific brief. And so I thought it would be really fun if I had to go at this too. We'll see how many of the months of the year I can do. I might not be able to do every one, but I thought it might be a really fun way to improve as a designer, to maybe try design things that I wouldn't normally, or with colours that I wouldn't normally. and I think you can then send it to Cross Stitcher and maybe they put it on their Facebook or something. I'm not sure, but I also thought it would be really interesting then to see what the other designers come up with and how it compares to mine. Crumbs. So this is my bit of fun challenge. It's in the January issue, but it's actually for I think they work either 2 or 3 months ahead. So although it's the January issue of Cross Stitcher, I think it comes out in the March edition. And the brief was to make a circular design. It had to be 42 stitches by 42, and it had to be circular, that could then be mounted in a hoop and stuffed. I've not seen that before. So and they didn't have a picture, so I'm kind of trying to imagine. I presume it's going to be like a little dome shape. You had to do it on 14 count white Aida, and it had to fit a 3-inch hoop, and you were allowed 7 floss like DMC. And so I'll show you like my process behind it. So I've put in my sketchbook, these are the DMC colours that you were allowed, the numbers. I've just done a little swatch of a pencil and I've stuck in the DMC threads. This was the brief. And then I started sketching some designs. So yeah, this is my 3-inch circular. With these colours, to me, it seemed very spring-like, and because it's coming out in the March edition, I thought it's going to be probably spring-themed. That was just my choice. And with the circular design, I decided I wanted the bees, and then like some pinky purple. No, they look purple on here. It's just the pencils. They're supposed to be pink. Yeah, pink flowers. And that, I just sort of, as soon as I saw the colours, that was the idea that came to me, so we ran with it. This is probably how it would look-ish if it was stuffed. And then I charted it on my charting software. So we've gone from the threads. I didn't have any normal PVA, so I stuck it with sparkly. And then that was the design I came up with. So you can see it changing a little bit with every sketch. My first sketch, I tried to fit a sun in and I made it a bit bigger then. And then you can see as it's changed from my sketch to the charting software, I changed it from a round flower into a tulip with a sun in the middle. So that was the design, and then I got it stitched. And this is it. So all stitched up. And so that's just a really cute, fun little spring design, sticking to the quite stringent brief that they had. So I'm really pleased with that. I think it's really cute. It helped that I really liked the colours for this month. I might not like the colours in upcoming months. Hopefully this month I can start designing the next one. But yeah, it was fun. So that's it for the cross stitching and embroidery portion. The final thing I've got to show you is some knitting, and now there's something I never thought I would say. I'm not a knitter, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I got the urge to knit a pair of socks. Then I was watching Lauren Flossability's Flosstube, and she showed a picture of her socks that Mama Flossabilities had knitted for her. And they looked so lovely with the stripes, and that clinched it. I was like, right, in 2023, that is the year I'm going to learn how to knit socks. I have almost no knitting experience whatsoever. I learned to knit the squares as a child. You know, you knit like all kids do, like you learn to knit like a little square. I did that. With the help of my mother-in-law, about 15 years ago, she helped me to knit a scarf, and she did all of the casting on for me, and she did all the awkward bits and fixed it when I dropped stitches and went wrong, because she's an expert knitter. So and then I did attempt a second scarf on my own. Again, this is about 15 years ago. All it was knit was it pearl as well? I don't know. It might have been knit and pearl, that was it. And I hated it. It went really wrong. I ended up putting it in the bin. That is the extent of my knitting knowledge. So I've had to Google everything from the start. I'm a complete novice. But I cast these on Christmas Day, and this is how far I've got. I'm really chuffed. I'm chuffed. I needed a tutorial for absolute beginners, and I found the Winnick Mum sock along. It's like a 3-week sock along, and the idea is at the end of 3 weeks you have one completed sock, and she tells you everything that you need to stitch them. Stitch them? Knit them. You can tell I'm a stitcher. I'm not a knitter at all. And so I started with her tutorial. Now, according to Winnick Mum, there are 3 main ways of knitting socks. You can use a short circular needle, a long circular needle, or about 4 billion double pointed needles. By the way, the real knitters out there will be like cackling with laughter right now, because you'll know from my explanation of things, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go along, and I have made every single beginner mistake that you can make. I have made it with these socks. So after reading Winnick Mum's instructions, I decided to go for the magic loop. So this is the long circular needle, just because I saw the DPNs and I was like, there's no way I'm going to knit with 4 or 5 needles. It just looked incredibly intimidating. Whereas the long circular, this is all you needed. And I didn't want to spend a lot of money because I had no idea if I could do it or not. I could literally see me, I thought I was going to start and then just like throw it across the room, which is what nearly happened. So I went for the long circular, this magic loop that you then knit on, which is so cool. I've been loving it. It's been really, I wasn't loving it at first. It was overwhelming, frustrating, and I nearly did chuck it across the room a few times. This magic loop, now I'm used to it, it's working really well, and I like how it holds your stitches securely so they're not going to slip off, which was another reason I went for the long circular. But to get started, I was struggling so much. I think for me, if I only had the Winnick Mum tutorial, I don't think I would have been able to do it. Lots of other people have been successful with it. I don't think I would have been able to. I was getting really, really frustrated. So then I found another tutorial by a crazy sock lady here on YouTube. She's an amazing knitter, and her tutorials are fantastic. They're really, really good. So Winnick Mum gave me the confidence to be able to get started and know what to buy. And I liked the idea of a 3-week sock along, but without Crazy Sock Lady's tutorial, I wouldn't have got this far. So the wool I got was the one recommended by Winnick Mum, and it's the West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply. This is the one she recommended, so I just got the things that she recommended. And this is in the colour Seascape, which is just gorgeous. I love it. And to see the stripes come to life is so lovely. So for these socks, the needles cost me about £5. I purchased it from Wool Warehouse. And then the wool cost me, I think, about £7.50, which is quite a lot for a pair of socks. But I decided, okay, well, for £7, it's not just a pair of socks, it's a hobby and it's learning something new. And so that's how I could sort of justify trying it. And I liked the idea that out of one ball of wool, apparently you can get 2 socks. So I liked that. I just had to buy the one ball of wool, one long circular needle, and you're good to go. So I've done the cuff. This is really bad, okay? The cuff is terrible. It's all a little bit dodgy, but for my first, I'm going to call it the first proper knitting I've done really, other than that scarf 15 years ago that I threw in the bin. I'm really chuffed. So you knit 2, purl 2. Yeah, see that's a bit dodgy there. And it gives like that springy thing. You can tell I'm not a knitter. This was difficult because I had to like learn how to cast on. I had to Google how to knit and how to purl, where you put the yarn, which way round you do the yarn, and I had to work out how to use this magic loop, which is Crazy Sock Lady's tutorial. Helped me finalise that. So once I'd got it, you're away with the magic loop then, and so that way up. And so by the time I hit the leg, this is all just knitted, and it's really cool because you just knit, round, 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 round. I still made 100 mistakes, but this was lovely. I felt like a proper knitter, and I got into my groove of doing my knitting. On the side, you can see I've got a bit of a ladder going on. Yeah. Winnick Mum says, don't worry too much. A lot of things come out in the wash. Yeah, you can see there. But you can see that the ladder, so it's worse on that side. But once I realised that I needed to pull it tighter, see that isn't great. But as you get down here, you can see there, I'm pulling the wool tighter and it's much better. And on this side here, you can see here, mind you, I've not done so well there, but here, that was a good bit. And then you get on to the dreaded like heel turn, which is terrifying me. The problem with knitting is that when I'm stitching, I know, I spot where I've gone wrong, and I either know how to fix it or I know what I can fudge. So either fix it or fudge it, and you know, I'm confident in how I fix mistakes, and I usually know what's gone wrong and why. With knitting, I haven't got a clue because I don't have that knowledge, so if something goes wrong, I have no idea how to fix it. And I'm terrified of like dropping a stitch. I'm just worried that if I drop a stitch somewhere, the whole thing is just gonna like unravel and then just like fall apart, and it'll just be like a tangle of wool on the floor. So I've almost finished this heel flap, and then I will be on to the dreaded heel turn. So the whole of this section really intimidated me. However, this heel flap, so far so good. It's going all right. And I'm just taking it one row at a time. I'm going really slowly. I've made every single mistake you can make. I've dropped stitches, I've tried to like pick them up, haven't picked them up right. A few times I suddenly realised I was putting my yarn round the wrong way. Up here somewhere, I'd only just started and I thought I'd got it and I hadn't, it was going around the wrong way. What happens if you do that? I don't know. I did notice when I came back along that row again later on, the stitches were really tight and like twisted. I don't know if it's going to cause anything more sinister than that. I can't see that it has. The magic loop, I thought I got it. So when you're stitching on the round, you like pull your needle back. This one goes back and then this one comes out forward and then you can use it. I'd got cocky. I thought I'd got it, and I grabbed my needle and I yanked it out, and I yanked the wrong one out. And so like I just lost all my stitches, and I was like, yeah, I could hardly breathe. I was like, oh no. I don't know. I just kind of wiggled my needle and tried to get them all back on, holding my breath the entire time. A few times I've suddenly come across my little row or my round, and I've discovered like I've looped my yarn twice, and then I don't really know what to do with that. What I have been doing is just like knitting the two together, and I like count to see, oh yeah, I've got 35 on my needle when I should have 34. Or is it 32? I think I'm doing 64, a 64 stitch sock. So you have half on each needle, 32 on each. So that's right, so if I have got 33, then I know that it's like some weird loop, and I just kind of like knit them together and like knit them. I don't know people, I don't know how to fix these problems. I haven't got a clue. But it's going To be honest, considering how bad I am at it, it's going quite well. However, I don't want to speak too soon. So next month, if I just don't mention my knitting and like don't mention the sock, you know, if I don't mention it, don't bring it up, because what will have happened is that I will have got to the heel turn, I'll have dropped something, the whole thing will have just unravelled, and it'll just be an unravelled woolly mess, and that'll be me with knitting. Hashtag don't mention the sock. And then finally, plans. So I'm not going to go into my plans for next year just yet, but my plans for January. So I have got 6 whips in my rotation. I've got my 6, and my plan is that I will allot them 5 days each month. I've been doing that for the last couple of months and it's been working really, really well. So I have like a 30-day rotation. Once I have worked on something, then I spin my wheel to discover what I'm going to be working on for the next 5 days. That way there's no pressure, and if I don't stitch, you know, it's not a biggie. Life gets busy. If you don't stitch on something, you don't stitch on something. And the way I work my rotation is I try and keep my personal stitching, which is like my 6 whips that I'm doing, separate to anything that I'm model stitching. So model stitching is, I hesitate to call it work, but because it's not, it's still really fun, but in that way I keep my rotation separate for my own personal stitching and the things that I want to model stitch. So for January, I'm going to carry on working on my Aurora cabin. I'd love to get it up to 80%, which I should do. That's only 2% to stitch. I'd love to back stitch this cabin and definitely fill these trees in as well. And then I would really like to start working on the icy river again, and get some of these boulders and some of the sparkle. We will see how much time I get. For my castle, I think my plan is to try and get this second page finished, and then I think that'll just be a relief when I've got that first 2 pages completely finished. And I think probably what I will do is I'll do a thread on this background and then a thread either on this turret and just work down, just because that'll be quite fun to see the castle emerging, or depending if my Q-snap will reach, to continue with this arch and get some of that arch in, because I think that would look good. For the winter project, I would really love to complete a motif, especially now that I've got this centre done. So I would like to complete 1 motif in January. I think I did sort of fancy coming round and working around like this, but I think I might like some colour. So I might just start work on this, the glove and the scarf. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get the whole thing done, but yeah, definitely do some of that. If I do get it done, then maybe continue with the back stitch on the centre motif. For the Goldwork butterfly, I really need to get these petals finished, these flower petals complete on this side. For the RSN course, you only have a 12-month access. So I started this in March, and so my 12-month access will be up in 3 months' time. I think you can email to ask for a 12-month extension, which you can bet I'll be having to do, because there's no way I'm going to finish this in 3 months. So I will be having to email the Royal School of Needlework and ask for an extension on this one. I'm pretty sure, I think they give it to you. Let's hope so. Pembroke coast, I just want to keep chipping away, keep slogging towards a finish. And then for my castle wolves, finally, this is number 6 of 6 whips. I would love to finish this page. I would like to stitch up the January free mini monthly thing. I need to catch your name for that, and then start work on the February one. I need to design the February one and then stitch that one. And I have got a new start planned for January 1st, which is, I've got it all ready on this frame. This is 18 count Ada, and I'd like to stitch the bookshelf. This is a stitching cabin design, so it's a bookshelf reading tracker where you stitch your bookshelf. It's a cross between two of my favourite hobbies. It's a cross between stitching and like bullet journaling. And so the idea is that this holds 52 books, so that's one book a week for the whole of the year. And so in 2023 I'm going to track my reading. So I'm going to stitch the bookcase first, and the little ornaments, and then every time I read a book, so say I read a romance, then that's pink, and then you stitch the book in pink, and then I don't know whether I'm going to backstitch as I go or backstitch the books at the end, not quite sure. And then if I read a classic, that would be light blue, so then that would go in there. And at the end of the year, you can look at your bookcase and see like a visual representative of all the books you've read. I just thought it'd be really good fun. So I would like to get started on that, both as a little bit of fun and so that I've then got the model to be able to show people it stitched up. I do also have a 104 book tracker for the really big readers, so that's 2 books a week, but I won't be stitching that one. I'm going to stick to this one. That is it. That's my December update, my kind of end of year wrap up. Oh, I just wanted to show you my new year, new start that I've got planned for January 1st as well. So my new year, new start that I had planned to start on the 1st of January is Castle Wolves. I had it planned. This was going to be my new year, new start, and I couldn't wait. And so I started this early in November. Who does that? Who starts their new year, new start in November? Me, apparently. So this is my new year, new start. What a wally. So that is everything I have got to show you. Thank you so very much for watching. I will be back at the end of January, if not before, with my January review, and we will see whether I've accomplished my goals or not. So thank you ever so much for watching. I appreciate you all so very much, and have a lovely month. Happy stitching.